Stance theory in tabletop RPGs describes the player-to-character relationship. Pawn stance describes a situation where the character has no motivations on their own. They are merely an extension of the player's will, an avatar, a pawn for the player to move around to explore the game world. Players in games like Hero's Quest and Descent typically think of their characters as pawns. Once the player realizes that the character may have motivations in the game world that are independent of what they want as a player, they enter into author stance. In this stance, typically the player will start to retrofit whatever they want as a player into their character's motivations. The characters are in a dungeon and there's somebody that's going to be sacrificed below, so there's a time limit. But the dwarven cleric rolled a natural 1 on their investigation check in the last room. How can I justify my halfling rogue going back in the room to get another investigation check when my rogue knows that time is a factor? Once the player starts making decisions based solely on the character's backstories, their motivations, what kind of genre of fantasy they're playing in, they've entered into actor stance. This is exemplified in horror-type games, where the player knows that there is a monster on the other side of the door that may drive their character mad or kill their character, but their character is going to open the door anyway because that's what their character would do, or that's what the fiction of the game demands. Director stance is a little bit different because the player starts to make decisions outside of their own character. Decisions about what's in the room, what the other characters are doing, and making assumptions about where those things are, regardless of what the players want, the dungeon master wants, or what the dice say. Imagine a situation where a character wants to have a conversation with Strahd after the dinner at his castle. As the rest of the party leaves the castle, I slip away quietly and hide behind a bookshelf in the drawing room so that when Strahd comes back in, he and I can have a conversation. You don't know if there was a bookshelf there. You don't know if the rest of the party noticed you. You don't know if Strahd's going to grab you and kill you the moment he comes back into the room. Players often bounce between the first 3 without any issues, but it can be useful to think about where your game intends you to be so you know how much latitude you have as a player in determining the story.